All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series here tonight at Twin Ring Motegi. So we have about 17 drivers that have crossed the Pacific. Are going to have some fun here tonight. So qualifying kicking off, and Boomer, we're at the second to last race, and it is going to be tight on the point side of things. I'm going to say right now, obviously qualifying going on for our drivers. 120 laps is our scheduled race distance. But let's pull up those point standing, because right now it is 2 points. Nick DeGroot over Andrew Wood. And then Craig Forsyth still within reach, only 33 out of the top spot. And unfortunately, with Jeff Heisong's bad luck last week, that drops him now 89 out of the lead into fourth. And then 94 out of the lead is Matt Wagner there in the top five. So a good top five battle between those two as well. But I think eyes are going to be on Nick, Andrew, and Craig for these final two races. So obviously qualifying will be job one, get that bonus point maybe, or go for the highest climber kind of decisions there. But of course the drop weeks are also still coming into play. Again, it's a 12 race season right now. As you can see, it's showing the best 9 out of 10. After tonight's going to show the best 10 out of 11. And of course, the next week for the finale, the best 11 out of 12. And that will be our series champion. So it's all to play for here. I say it's getting down to it. And it's going to be fun to see who's going to be able to pull it out tonight and this season.
Yeah, definitely exciting for sure. We do actually see Andrew Wood at the top of the board at the moment for qualifying. Definitely a fun track here at the Twin Ring Motegi. I've had a lot of fun racing this track in the past. This is probably one of the very few tracks that I actually have some IndyCar experience in myself, being more of a stock car guy. But definitely a unique layout, almost like a Darlington kind of style track. But there's a lot more width to the track. Than the Darlington style, and almost lends itself more to a kind of a short track vibe, even though it is a mile-and-a-half track. And obviously we've known Andrew Wood has been absolutely phenomenal at some of the short tracks this season, including St. Louis, or Gateway, I should say. That was a similar style at least. So we'll have to see how that goes tonight, as we do actually see Nick DeGroot coming into the top spot. He is now a half a tenth faster than Luis Gonzalez Nunez and Andrew Wood, who are tied at a 27-22. So it'll be exciting tonight to see who can grab those bonus points, and who's going to come out in the lead with, as you mentioned, a very tight championship battle, Gael.
Yeah, it's gonna be great to see, and yeah, so we still got a couple cars on track here. I think Matt Wagner finishing up his laps, and then Craig Forsyth as well. But you're spot on though, very very different track here. So obviously 1 and 2. I mean, it's pretty much just you go where pretty much as hard as you can as flat out, and just try to make sure you keep a little bit of clean air on the front wing, because it does have a little bit of that dirty air. Of course, these cars again they live for clean air. But you're right though, 3 and 4. That's going to be, I think, the turn that really kind of separates the drivers here, where who can kind of find that right adjustment between the front ARBs, the rear ARBs, the weight jacker, kind of define that right kind of match that does what it needs to do to make it around the turn. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be the right kind of suggestion and right tweaks to make to these cars here for that. I think 3 and 4 is going to definitely be the trouble spot tonight. But also, just like you said, it's so wide, just so tempting to go all the way up to the inside, the outside. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see. Fuel window is hearing low to mid 30s, so most likely probably a 3 pit stop race, with it being 120 laps. So we'll have to keep an eye. Of course, cautions always can change that up as well. But I say, it looks like qualifying just completing up here. And like you mentioned, Boomer, kind of not a late lap there, but it looks like Nick DeGroot is going to be able to put that car on pole for tonight. So talk about the bonus points. That's going to put one right into his wheelhouse there. Like I said, just by about a half a tenth over Luis Gonzalez Nunez. And then you mentioned championship contender Andrew Wood right behind him there in third, Jim Herrick in fourth. Then you got Matt Wagner rounding out our top 5, and then continuing down through the top 10, you've got Jari Brupacher, Jeff Heisong, Eric Peterson, Craig Forsyth, our third place in the championship there, and then Dan Moreira rounding out our top 10.
Definitely going to be exciting tonight, as we see William Gunn is starting in the 11th position, Charles Teed in the 12th position, Gary Corley 13th, Jim Brooks 14th, And of those who haven't taken a time for the evening, Joseph Morales will start 15th with Alec Coates in 16th and Don Hunter riding shotgun in 17th position. So definitely will be an exciting start tonight for sure. Definitely those bonus points that you mentioned for Nick DeGroot grabbing that pole mean a lot. I know that we talk about that a lot on Thursday nights as well, even though it's a completely different championship format than we have here, where this is just a straight up traditional point system. Those bonus points, anytime you can get them, are so critical, and it is so cool to see how tight of a race it really is with two races to go here in the season. So we're going to definitely be trying to follow those championship leaders as much as we possibly can tonight, and try to see if anyone else who may not be in the championship hunt can try and steal a win here at Twin Ring Motegi.
And that's exactly it. I said this is a great opportunity for those guys that are maybe just outside of the championship hunt, where it's like, hey, how much is this win maybe worth to you, where you can maybe put a little bit more pressure on them than they might be comfortable with, and kind of force them to back it down a little bit. So I said that could be an opportunity for, like you said, a Luis Gonzalez Nunez, a Jim Herrick, Yari Brubacher, Matt Wagner. I know he's been really vying for a win. And say we'll be bugging Matt here at some point tonight, because so we've got a little fun inside joke that we've been messing with pre-race with the 6 car tonight. So. But yeah, it looks like we have pretty much, it looks like I think the 14 or 15 of grid. I think we may be missing Alec Coates in the 3 and Don Hunter. We'll keep an eye on those guys and see if they roll out. But right now, looks like we've got 15 rolling out on the grid here this evening, though. Like I said, though, with that front row, going to be Nick DeGroot and Andrew Wood. Or sorry, and Luis Gonzalez, apologies.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those guys in the top 5 there, Luis Gonzalez Nunez, Jim Herrick, Matt Wagner, and maybe even Yari Brubacher, all looking to maybe grab a win, steal one from these championship contenders, though it's definitely going to be hard to beat the likes of Nick DeGroot, Andrew Wood, and Craig Forsyth as well. So it'll be exciting to see. I know, like you said, Matt Wagner has been really close in good positions to win some races this season, and Yari Brubacher has definitely had a season maybe to forget so far. Definitely been one of our contenders for wins week in and week out, just about any other season but this season. So he's definitely had quite a bit of bad luck, unfortunately, pretty much throughout the whole season, and would love to see him maybe grab a win here or at the final race of the season, just to say, maybe a clean reset and say, hey, we got this. But it'll be interesting to see tonight and see who can actually grab the win, as the pace car is going to pull off for the start of the race.
Yeah, say waiting for that green flag to fly. As you can see, the flagmen waiting. Everybody's getting lined up and ready. And there is the green flag. We are down and away. Everybody starts to jump around trying to find that clean air to figure out where they want to position themselves here, Boomer, into turn number 1. Of course, shortest distance is the fastest way around, but you got to be careful, though. There is a little bit of banking differential between that apron and the on the track there. So you touch the apron, you will get that car very upset. And Andrew Wood's going to try to force that 89 car of Nick DeGroot to stay pinned down to the inside, like maybe try to steal lap number 1. And they are going at it tooth and nail here.
Yeah, you see Andrew Wood trying to cut down and exit low and straight off of turn number 3. There's definitely a few different ways that you can drive this track. And I mean, it isn't necessarily a multi-groove track, but it's definitely maybe like a multi-lane or a multi style. Like, you can definitely drive in deep and cut it in late, or it's harder to get the top side working towards the end of the race, but definitely have some opportunities to.
Matt Wagner!
We got a crash! Wow, early. Matt Wagner.
Yeah, everybody's trying to swing around, and it looks like it's going to be a solo incident. And we just talked about that trouble turn number 4, and that was exactly where it was. Just that car just got tight. Probably the dirty air there. It's going to bring out our first yellow. Let's go back and take a look once more here at that incident, because you can see Matt was kind of right in the the back of the 89 Nick DeGroot, and just right here, just enough of a kiss to the wall, and just shoves that car. And actually, you'd see behind, Jeff Heisong gave it a little bit of a touch as well there. But then, yeah, big contact to the inside wall, unfortunately. But looks like, I believe, everybody's going to be able to get through this. So say we'll kind of keep an eye on that the 6 car. As you can see, Jim Brooks there, Charles Teed able to just cut to the left there. And you see the 7 there of Gary Corley going to the outside, and Joseph Morales just squeaking by there in that target machine. So, and unfortunately, Matt had to jump quick to the pits there, unfortunately. So, gonna probably put him at least 1 down. The only kind of silver lining will be that he'd be the only car 1 down. But say we'll see, though, as field's kind of catching up to the pace car here. And saying, I presume pits, looks like, actually no, it looks like pits were open, just not a lot of takers here. Looks like Jim Brooks, the only of those in the field, said, you know what, I mean, might as well say, got a free opportunity to put a little bit more fuel in, probably put some tires on it. Say not really losing a lot of track position in that 51. So surprised nobody else did, but maybe we'll see a few come in a little bit later on. So yeah, unfortunately not the start Matt was looking for, but again, still a lot. I mean, if you're going to have a hiccup like that, you want to get it out of your way early. That way you have some time to recover.
Yeah, definitely. We've already mentioned how treacherous turn 3 and 4 could potentially be tonight, and it's already proven true. So unfortunate for Matt, but it looks like he's just about. Actually, I think he is still towing, but so it looks like he's probably going to go one. He's one lap down now. I think he's going to be probably 2 by the time they get back going. So unfortunate for him, but still plenty of time left in the race, and definitely exciting to see so far. Andrew Wood grabbing that lead ahead of Nick DeGroot as the yellow flag flew. So they're both going to pick up those bonus points for leading laps tonight already. So those bonus points cancel out as far as the championship battle goes, but definitely that big advantage again to Nick DeGroot for getting the pole bonus points. But it's still early on. There's still quite a bit of laps to go. Not really too much advantage to really pitting here, but I do like the call from Jim Brooks to grab some fuel and maybe grab some extra tires. Who knows? Maybe see if he can try and cut through the field and last a little bit longer on those green flag runs.
And that's the thing is, I mean, just you never know the timing of these cautions. I mean, you could wind up trapped in the field a lap down if everything just falls in your favor, which we have seen before. So we are 1 to go here, so lights are off of the pace car, and as you saw there, also Matt Wagner is back with the field. He was able to stay just 1 down, Boomer, so that's a big break for the 6 car. So now he's, unfortunately, I say the problem now is obviously going to need another yellow, not be involved in it. And then, of course, has to keep that thing clean to the end now, unfortunately, because that's it for any fast repairs. Let's say he used the one kind of mulligan he had. So now, say for the championship battle, though, like I said, the 1-2 in the points are running 1-2 in reverse order currently. But again, Craig Forsyth is just a few spots back there in 6th. He's already up 3 spots from his qualifying spot, so maybe not too out of the question for Craig to look at being maybe the highest climber as an option to get that bonus point in that one as well in that number 2740 Raceway machine. So say there's different ways of earning points. So say Nick got that pole award, got the bonus point, but we're going to hand it back over here because, again, once that pace car rolls off, it's going to go into the hands of that number 64, and then everybody else is going to have to try to catch up and be quick on the draw here on this restart.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of a jump here Andrew can get over the field. Thankfully, it is more of a short track vibe, so not a ton of draft as you do see them snaking a little bit down the front stretch, but Andrew should be able to get away here into turn number 1, no problem. Shouldn't have too much of an issue with the draft being able to catch for Nick DeGroot to get past him into turn number 3. But again, you do see the snaking trying to break the draft, whatever there is there. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see. Some ways this does drive like a short track, and we have seen Andrew Wood be so absolutely incredible at that so far this season. So we'll see if Nick DeGroot can hang with him. Obviously, Nick DeGroot having more speed on the single lap in qualifying, but definitely a lot going on as we do see Jari Brupacher here is working with, I believe, against Jeff Heisong there, our only 2 wide battle on the track right now.
Yeah, so it looks like Yari's using the outside line to his advantage. But yeah, you're talking about the way Andrew Wood, though, kind of using his short track skills there. Ooh, looked like really close to the wall there out of 4 there for Nick DeGroot there. Almost seems like these tires maybe take a couple laps to really build the temperatures and pressures up where they get maybe a little more comfortable. Maybe these things just pushing a little tight early on. So, but yeah, earlier though you could see though Andrew was just kind of living on the bottom, just keeping Nick at bay there. Just like you said, trying to separate and break from that draft. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if he kind of sticks with that strategy. But you can see, I mean, he is leaving nothing to chance, just inches from the wall out of 4. And again, just make sure he keeps that preferred line here through 1 and 2. But now this is where Nick's going to have the opportunity to steal a little bit of draft here and make that big charge down the back.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that the draft doesn't necessarily mean a ton here. I mean, we've already got about 7 seconds of separation between Andrew Wood and Joseph Morales, who is the first or the last car on the lead lap. So Definitely not as much of a draft here to keep the cars close and tight. So we will see probably Andrew Wood and Nick DeGroot continue to break away from this pack here. They've got about 9/10 of a second over Luis Gonzalez Nunez, who's our third podium driver and third podium place right now. So definitely not as much of the draft, and really have to maybe play to that short track prowess of Andrew Wood early on. But again, early on, it's still very early in the race.
Yeah, still lots of to go. And unfortunately, it looks like I think maybe I'm not sure if connection issue, but saw Eric Peterson just drop through the field and not really seeing him on the track map, unfortunately. So possibly connection issues for that number 36 car. Not what you want to see there, but we'll jump a little bit further back from our top two right now, because right now we got a good little fight right here. You got Gary Corley there with William Gunn right in front of him. Matt Wagner again trying to get some track position back in that number 6 car again. I say Matt's in that kind of that between a rock and a hard place. You want to try to get maybe further up the road, but at the same time can't put himself into any kind of questionable. Oh, big slide there by the 14. Just caught that apron. We talked about that, Boomer. But somehow Quick Hands hung onto that car, but that could have been a lot worse for him and for those around him, including what we just mentioned, that 6 of Matt Wagner.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen a lot of cars get onto that apron, trying to cut that track, going the shortest way around, the shortest distance around the speedway, and just manage to grab the left front or the left rear. And I mean, like you said, there's a huge, there's not a lot of baking here, but there's definitely a huge difference between that apron being almost completely flat and the turn, and it just absolutely takes the weight off of the back of the car and loops it around really easily. So you have to be really careful about that. Definitely, like you said, the shortest way around the speedway, but can be the most treacherous if you're trying to push too hard.
Yeah, exactly right. So up over here with Charles Teat in the number 50 right now. He's gained 3 spots to get into the top 10 up to 9th. So he's got a couple cars in pretty close proximity here of Dan Morera, then Jeff Hysong there, 7th and 8th just in front of him. And say we'll take a look to see what these guys are doing through the turn. So you can see they're all the way down to 4th gear, and then has to then bring it back out. So like I said, just the way these turns are just so different between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Like here, you might see him just have a little bit of a lift just to make sure for the dirty air. But other than that, he's going to just be full throttle here all the way through. But you can see that car definitely has a lot of wheel input to it and just wasn't wanting to turn. That's the issue with the dirty air, unfortunately. And that's what he's fighting right now. He's going to have to try to just find somewhere that they're not. And once again, you can see he tries to enter shallow to kind of get away from it. But as soon as those guys get down in front of him, that car just wants to wash out from underneath. So that's definitely makes it a very difficult opportunity to try to do any passing here. And that's what makes this track so difficult for these drivers to kind of get their wrap around it.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you're dealing with a car with as much downforce as these Indy cars have, it definitely makes it more difficult to get an opportunity to pass, because they just drive so tight, so much aero push. And so much mechanical grip that there really isn't any opportunity to be loose and hang it out. Typically, by the time you start getting loose in one of these cars, you're absolutely completely losing it. So just like definitely a very tight, a track that drives very tight in nature, kind of from the setup of the track, and a car that drives is very tight as well. So definitely have to be careful. It's very easy to overdrive the center of the corner and find yourself way too high and into the wall and corner exit. That's partially why we say turn 3 and 4 are going to be so treacherous, but you have to watch out for 1 and 2 as well, because that wall on the outside of 2, even though you can push it pretty hard in the middle of the corner, that wall will always sneak up on you too.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you relax a little bit, and that's where it winds up biting. But we saw there Charles Teed was able to finally get around Jeff Hysong, move himself now up into the 8th position, the field has really kind of just spread itself out a fair bit right now. Let's say the next closest battle is right here with William Gunn and Joseph Morales right there. Say Joseph trying to get around William, hasn't been able to as of yet, but otherwise everybody's spread out by about like half a second to a second or so. So I think it's like you mentioned, kind of racing like the short track. It just the way it is, the aero dependency and everything. You can see these guys just jumping everywhere to try to find a way to kind of get the clean air and to make a move on one another there. And yeah, it just definitely makes it a challenge for these guys here. Ken mentioned you just saw there for a split second, Eric Peterson is back out on track, unfortunately. Obviously now it looks like 9 laps down in that 36, so that's a tough break for Eric, as he was in the top 10 at the time, I believe, as well. So, but right now, looking at lap times, Boomer, and pretty consistent right now. Looking, everybody's within about a tenth or so. It's the 68 for Andrew, the 60 for Nick DeGroot. Then you go to like 74, 70. So I mean, everybody's within a very small range of each other here, as you can see. Now, finally, Joseph is able to get to the inside. We'll see if he can complete the pass out of 2. And can't quite do it. There's the momentum shift back to the outside. These guys are just not giving up at this one. It was almost contact there entering 3. That was tight between each other. Tried to clear him, couldn't quite do it. Had to give some room, and they stay side by side once more.
Definitely an exciting battle. Definitely our closest battle on the track. The next closest battle on track is potentially Andrew Wood and Nick DeGroot are still about a half a second apart, though, as we do see Jim Brooks trying to enter the conversation here for this battle, which is ultimately for 11th place where William Gunn is right now. So definitely starting to spread out just a little bit here as we get to it, but interesting to see it. You mentioned already, it is really difficult to pass, but Nick DeGroot is trying to do what he can, at least to close in and try to make a setup on a pass on our leader Andrew Wood.
Yeah, saying again, we're also now lap 23, coming to 24 here. Talk about the fuel window, sounds like probably roughly low to mid 30s. So like I said, should be a 3-stop race. But then you wonder if there's anybody that can maybe say the only driver that pitted under that early caution was Jim Brooks, and well, of course, Matt Wagner as well. I mean, it's only 3 laps, so I mean, it shouldn't make a big amount of difference. But again, I mean, just the wrong timing of a caution could change everything. So that's going to be fun to see as well. And actually, while we were watching on board here, looks like Craig Forsyth was able to get around Jim Herrick pretty quickly there. So move now Craig up into the 4th position. So talk about our top 3 in points. They're now running 1, 2, and 4, as you can see. And that's what I was talking about right there. Is even though the short distance is a little lower, he's got to find that clean air. And he's definitely, this is the closest he's been. Now he's going to take it. Look. Can't quite get there, and look at right there. As soon as that 64 kind of cuts the door off in front of the 89, just it's like as if that car just doesn't know how to turn anymore.
Yeah, that arrow push is so treacherous for these cars. So, but Nick obviously able to hang on to it, and he's going to try and do everything he can to try and regroup here and get back closer to the 64 and maybe try and make a pass soon. So yeah, definitely a good run so far for Craig Forsyth, our biggest mover, up 5 positions. We do also have Charles Teed up 4, and Dan Marrera, Gary Corley, and Joseph Morales all up 3 positions right now. So not obviously not a big field, but not a lot of people really moving up or down. But Craig is trying to get that bonus point. Wasn't able to get the pole. Hasn't been able to lead a lap yet, although he is trending in that direction towards the lead. But Craig's still in it as far as the championship battle goes, and trying to do everything he can to get any bonus point possible.
Yeah, saying last time by, actually, it was Charles Teed there. We just mentioned gained 4 spots. Now he's up to 5 spots gained in that 50, moving up into 7th. He was actually quickest car on track that last time by while passing the 26 Dan Marrera. So I think there's definitely some pace in that 50, just not the qualifying that he was looking for. But the other thing to mention is we're talking about Craig Forsyth getting around Jim Herrick pretty easily. That being said, though, Craig hasn't been able to dispatch of Jim. Jim's holding right on about that 4 or 5 of a second margin, and it's a little bit similar as well with Andrew Wood and Nick DeGroot. They've kind of settled in here at about that 3/10 of a second margin as well. And as soon as I say that, I say this is where Nick, again, he's got about the closest he's been, and you could see because Andrew started playing a little bit of defense, try to break that draft a bit. And I think I see what Nick is doing a little bit more now. He's kind of entering 3 higher, then trying to make that late apex to really cut to the bottom to get that car to rotate, to kind of just offset the dirty air. And that's what you're going to see here in turn number 1 as well. He kind of waits, and then he makes that late cut down. And it's definitely really giving him an advantage to at least be able to use the draft and not get that dirty air. And here it goes again. He's going to try to make a move, this time to the outside in 3. We'll see if he can do that over-under.
Yeah, definitely. They're really, like I said,
just a little bit of apron there. Yeah. You can see the smoke coming off of the 89's tires there. That's how loose he got when he touched that apron, but somehow just hung on to it there, Boomer. I'm sorry for jumping in front of you there.
No, that was exciting. Definitely a scary moment there for the 89, but the skill to hold on to it and keep going. There's, you mentioned earlier, there really isn't much more than one lane here, but there's definitely different lines to run. You know, there's ways to get the outside kind of working, but that inside really is king. But you do see a little bit of a difference where, you know, Andrew Wood is kind of more of a traditional apex, you know, getting to the bottom in the middle of the corner, or getting to the bottom in the middle of the corner, where you say Nick DeGroot is definitely trying to hit that apex late and trying to get as straight of a shot off. Definitely helps you with speed down the straightaway. So definitely a couple different styles that we can see here is, oh, it looks like we're gonna watch the 89 coming down to pit road this time by.
Yeah, he's going for the undercut here, see if he can maybe jump the 64 on pit road. So as long as he got a clean entry, then I'd say that's job number one. Then we'll have to see what the exit looks like. But so that's now going to be, now does Andrew Wood, does he react? Because this is a gamble by Nick. Don't get us wrong here, because again, I believe he will get trapped a lap down if I'm not mistaken, as he's yet to hit his pit stall here, as Andrew's now through 3 and 4. And yeah, Andrew's going to keep going here, because let's say this is in his best interest, maybe try to get Nick pinned a lap down. As you can see, there's the 64 he's already by. There goes the 89, just leaving pit road now. Also need to mention Craig Forsyth. He just hit pit road as well. So these guys, again, so we know the window's open for that 3-stopper that we talked about, Boomer. Now the question is kind of how big of a window do we see? Because again, some drivers want to go early, try to get that short run speed and try to just do the undercut. Others just don't want to risk that yellow. Here comes Luis Gonzalez as well. He's going to hop on pit road. So it's definitely becoming a more popular place. Yeah, nice little lockup, but I think that was able to keep him down to speed, so that's a good job there for him. As right now, it looks like actually Charles T there dropped back a couple spots. I think Matt Wagner was able to get around. Oh, and there's Nick DeGroot in those fresh tires. I was trying to see who that was ahead of him, and that's what it was.
Yeah, we do also see Craig Forsyth has made his pit stop already, and a couple drivers in the.
Oh, Jim Brooks
our leader in now too. Oh, Jim Brooks with a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, he had something happen in 3 and 4 there, but able to stay off the track and keep it green. So that's a very close call. That could have been the change in the race for some of those drivers that had yet to pit. As you can see, as Andrew's coming in, a lot of drivers coming out as well. So right now it's Joseph Morales that's running the fuel mileage, though, in that 60 car. He's going to cycle around and lead this lap, it looks like here, which I think will complete the cycle of pit stops other than Matt Wagner in the 6. Then the question is going to be who wins this race off of pit road between the 64 and the 89. So let's hop on board. We're going to watch from the back of the 64, because we're going to see a yellow and black 89 car here coming very shortly.
There he is. Looks like Andrew Wood's going to be in a good position to get out in front of him and actually extend that lead by just a little bit. Looks like about 0.4 of a second, where he was definitely closer than that right before Nick pitted first. So the undercut not working so far for Nick DeGroot, so definitely something to put in the notebook and maybe save for later on in the race. But interesting so far. There's definitely a little bit of leeway as far as the pit strategy goes, but really looking only about a 3-lap difference between who came first and who came last into the pits on this green flag cycle here. So not a ton of room to play with, but hopefully that doesn't lock Nick DeGroot into that early undercut strategy for the rest of the race. Hopefully he can try and either see if Andrew will try and undercut later, or if he can try and stretch it a few more laps to kind of try and even out. But definitely undercut not working to his advantage, although he did keep about the same gap to Andrew.
Yeah, saying, and also Nick did have a really good pit lane time as well, as 40.98 to 41.32, so about 0.3 of a second advantage to Nick as well. Obviously, it doesn't really account for the in lap and the out lap. So, but that being said, the one thing I was going to mention was maybe Nick's tires be a little bit more up to temperature. We saw, you saw right there, I think Andrew may have just touched the apron just a little bit, and it looked like it definitely affected the pace there. As you saw, media went to start to play a little bit of defense here. And that's where Nick had to guess there in turn 3. What was Andrew going to do? These guys are going to cut each other zero slack here tonight. They know that this could be a make or break race in this championship. So right now, I say we've got our top 2 just fighting tooth and nail right now, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the closest battle on the track by far. Definitely exciting so far as well. So, I mean, we said that we would keep an eye on our championship favorites so far, but didn't expect these guys to absolutely run away with it. We do still have Luis Gonzalez Nunez back there about 1.4 seconds off of Nick de Groot, so still definitely in a firm spot for a podium so far tonight. Craig Forsyth about 4.5 seconds back from our leader, so starting to increase the gap as the race goes on. So, but we'll try and keep an eye on some of the storylines throughout the race and throughout the pack. Yeah, does look like we have actually our closest battle now between Jari Brupacher and I believe Jim Herrick just ahead of him.
Yeah, so Yari's trying to work his way a little bit forward now as well, because I say he's going to not too far away have Charles T trying to chase him down, because again, Charles is still working his way up the running order as well. But that being said, though, the fastest car on track the last couple of laps, fortunately, unfortunately, is the 6 of Matt Wagner. Still trapped one down here, but he's made significant progress through the field here. As we mentioned before, had to start at the very back of the field on that restart. He's basically the next car behind these two of Jari and Jim Herrick. You can see him there in that black and blue just in the background there. So, I mean, that car, if he can get back in the thick of this thing, he has pace, and I think he can contend. But we're going to jump back up here because Andrew's got a mirror full of Nick de Groot once more. And I feel like for Luis Gonzalez, this isn't a bad spot for Luis to be in, because he can just, I feel like these guys are just driving absolutely just ragged edge each lap, just trying to find any way to kind of get the advantage over the other. And I think that could fall right into the lap of that number 15 of Luis Gonzalez. So that's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on as well here. But what I am noticing, though, is, it's that intervals, again, starting to kind of separate just a little bit. Everybody's getting to about that second or so mark, other than these top two pretty much. But also Craig Forsyth is slowly creeping in a little bit in the picture there in that 27. So I really can't count Craig out here. But right now I think what some of these guys are wanting, and some of these guys are definitely hoping. Oh, actually, no, as I say that, the commentators curse once again. I think Matt Wagner, straight to pit road here. And that has brought out the caution. Unfortunately, the caution Matt needed, I believe, was the caution for it. So
yeah,
let's go back here. We'll take a look here to see what happened to Matt Wagner. Oh, yep, once again, turn 4 just bit him again. And unfortunately, straight into the outside wall, and just this time much harder hit to the outside wall, and then brutal hit to the inside wall. That car just looks like all 4 tires just completely broken off of it. So unfortunately, that was going to be our inside joke tonight. As you can see, what's left of that Motorola paint scheme. He was thrown back to Danica Patrick's IndyCar win over here with that number 6 machine, with that blue and black paint scheme's car. So unfortunately though, so that may be a cursed paint scheme for Matt. I have a feeling that one's going to go straight to the trash, and he's going to be going back to his regular, if you will. So tough break for Matt. Unfortunately, that's going to be his night done. But this now opens up a little bit of strategy here, Boomer, because now does this open up a window maybe to make it on one less stop or not? And here we go. One stays out, one comes in. So championship leaders split. But right now, it looks like an advantage, I'm going to say, is to those who are on pit road, because pretty much just 2 of our leaders here staying out.
Yeah, it's only been about 13 laps since we mostly last pitted, so definitely don't blame these guys for trying to go out and do something different in Andrew Wood and Luis Gonzalez Nunez. But I don't know. I don't think, unless we get more yellows, I really don't think that there's going to be a ton of a difference in them being able to stop one less time, because we're only 15 laps through the pit cycle here, or less than 15 laps through the pit cycle. So it'd be interesting to see if they can stretch it further, but I think they would have to use more yellow flags in order to do it.
Yeah, I think the question mark is the fuel mileage. I'm trying to look at the numbers right now, and so obviously they'll probably restart this thing probably right around lap number 50. And so that would give us about 70 laps to go. So based on that, if they could go 35 laps each tank, they could possibly one-stop this race on fuel. And if there's some drivers that love fuel mileage strategies, I'm going to go right here to 4th place, Craig Forsyth. He is Mr. Fuel Mileage. I mean, we've talked about him adjusting his fuel mileage mid-race, mid-turn. So I think he would definitely be one to watch for. And then there's going to be some drivers that maybe didn't have the pit stop they wanted to, or just don't have the track position they want to. Why not roll in here, top off, just to get that little bit of extra fuels? I think I saw, which I think, no, it looks like caution's still on, so they can come in even another time here. Dan Morera is rolling back onto pit road. Eric Peterson did get one of his 9 laps back, but unfortunately still has a long ways to go, unfortunately, to get back into this one as well. So will gain a spot on Matt Wagner, of course, unfortunately retired with that incident. But yeah, I'm going to watch to see, though. I think if we see anybody top off on the one and go, I think that'll be our telltale that somebody thinks that they can do that 35-35.
Definitely will be interesting to see, and I applaud them for the effort of doing it. Will, if there are no more cautions for the rest of the race, you can only stop if you can stop one less time than our leaders. Then, unfortunately, that's not going to bode well for Andrew Wood or Luis Gonzalez Nunez. But I mean, really, the curse of being the leader. Anyone behind you can make the opposite call of whatever you do. So, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, and it's unfortunate, sometimes. But at least he does have one friend out there in Luis, so he's not entirely alone. But it'll be interesting to see how that split strategy works between him and Nick DeGroot. So, definitely applaud the call from Nick and everyone else behind him just to do something different. Obviously, Nick being able to keep up with Andrew Wood, but not quite able to get around him on the racetrack. So when you can't pass someone on the racetrack, sometimes the best thing to do is try to pass them with a different strategy.
Yeah, and I think we have our answers. We got two more drivers hitting pit road, Joseph Morales, Dan Morera. And I need to mention also pit lap 35 and 34 for Luis and Andrew. So I'm saying that they can do it here. I think if we stay green, I think these guys, Nick DeGroot and back, could make it on one more stop. However, unfortunately, we're pulling in our most recent retiree, and that is Matnica Patrick. Unfortunately, Matt, that paint scheme was cursed tonight. We can see what's left of it. Not the way you were looking to have some fun with the paint scheme tonight, but he had some speed in there. I don't know if that's any consolation, though.
No, it's not a consolation at all. It's a little bit of driving the car too hard and desperately trying to get my lap back the hard way, which I was trying to do, and push the car a little bit too hard, and look what happens. You end up in the wall.
Yeah, definitely glad you're okay after those couple of big hits. Glad to hear you were checked and released from the infield care center. Hopefully not doing too bad after those big hits.
Oh, don't worry. It wasn't raining out, so no middle fingers will be applied.
Yeah, so no.
Like at Loudon.
Yeah, no willpowers, please. But I'll say that being said, you'd be having to throw them at yourself. But pace car's rolling off here, and there goes Andrew. Is going to try to get down and away. Again, I think his job now is to try to break away from these guys. But again, though, I think this is a tale of two races now. It's going to be very interesting to see kind of who's willing to push how hard. I think for Andrew and Luis, I think you just got to run your race. I don't think you can do anything else than that. But I do think, like I said, Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth, this really opens up some opportunities for them to do some strategies to maybe try. Like I said, I think somebody, if we stay green, somebody is going to one-stop this race, and I think that is going to be the winning move tonight.
Yeah, that'll be definitely interesting to see. I'm excited to see someone at least try it. Hopefully they can make it stick and pull it off, but definitely interesting so far. Obviously, Andrew and Luis are really just going to have to focus on running their own race. Obviously, Matt has already showed us that it's definitely possible to unfortunately beat yourself. Sorry for the low shot there, Matt, but definitely possible to beat yourself in one of these situations. But hopefully, we did see some smoke there off of, I don't know if that was the 89 or what, but I don't know if someone's close to the wall or what, but a little bit of smoke there.
He was having some connection issues during our race.
Makes sense.
We got some bad weather in case you guys are living. I know you guys are living on the West Coast, but we got some really bad weather here up to the east, and that's why you see Nick DeGroot fading in and out, and Jeff is up in the northeast as well.
Yeah. So again, I'm watching and say, I mean, we know Yari's quick as well, but I'm wondering is Craig Forsyth again, kind of just playing possum right now with these guys. I love Craig because he can beat you in so many ways. It's not just outright pace, but he's got strategy. He's got the pit timings and the fuel mileage that he can do. So it's going to be fun to see. But that being said, though, it's not going to be a walk in the park for any of those guys that pitted, because we just don't know who's going to be able to go the number and make sure that they don't overrun their own fuel number, because we've seen that too, where drivers just, unfortunately, they kind of beat themselves and they decide, you know what, I know I can do this, I pitted, I can make it to the end, but then they just run that little bit too hard. So say the same thing for Nick. He's got to be vigilant where he just doesn't push too hard, but has to make sure that he still kind of stays in touch. So it's, yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, to me, it's a strategy race. Like I said, I think somebody's going to gamble. Will it be to the benefit of them, or will it still wind up going into the track position game of Andrew or Luis? And that's the next thing to mention. Luis has done a great job here on this restart. He is holding right on par with Andrew, just as well as Nick was able to. So definitely a lot of pace. We mentioned this could be a good race for Luis as well, to maybe just put some pressure on that championship fight, where it's like, hey, I'm not, yeah, I want to win the race, but I got to make sure I don't have anything happen to me. So I say Luis can get away with being a little more aggressive on Andrew and Nick here.
Definitely going to be interesting so far to see. Still about just shy of halfway here, a couple laps here to halfway. Definitely interesting to see the split strategy so far, but Andrew Wood still in the way. Luis Gonzalez Nunez in that second position, with Nick DeGroot now in third. And you wonder, you see these guys at the front of the pack, these top two, they're starting to break away a little bit more, which is not something that we had seen so far, where Nick was able to hold with them for the most of the beginning part of the race. So it'll be interesting to see if Nick is actually trying to save enough to go that one stop the rest of the way after our last caution. And it'll be interesting to see how far they can make it, as well as how far the 64 can make it as well.
Yeah, and that's the question. Actually, we're going to jump up front, because here comes Luis. As I was looking and I was like, wait a second, that interval's right there. Is Luis? He's going to take the lead into 3. Question is, can he hold it out of 4? The answer is going to be yes. New leader, the 15 of Luis Gonzalez Nunez, the first of the drivers to be able to pass Andrew Wood here. So again, great job at 64. I said, we'll have to see again the fuel mileage and the strategy. That's going to be the question mark, but that 15 car definitely has the pace tonight. So we'll see if he can put it all together here. But again, like I said, we're just about to approach the halfway point in this one, so still lots of racing to go. And again, that's the one thing we wish we could see, Boomers, to have all that full in-car telemetry, so we could see what these guys, what fuel maps are they running. Are they maybe running a map 3, a map 5, or are they just full map 1, and say maybe it was a strategy call by Andrew, say, you know what, I got to back down my pace because these guys are going to be able to beat me on strategy. But I don't see any way that Andrew's going to be able to gain 10, 11 laps of fuel to be able to kind of be on the same strategy of these other guys that may try to one-stop it.
Yeah, interesting for sure. And I think that's going to probably be the biggest strategy for the rest of the races. We do actually see Luis Gonzalez Nunez jumping to the point over Andrew Wood. So we'll have to see if they're if Andrew's trying to save just a little bit. But those two guys definitely going to have to pit at least twice more. Trying to look into some of the information as far as the fuel map goes, just to see, but it's definitely, you can't unfortunately get into the cockpit of these drivers really, and and see everything with there. Obviously, you can see the little bit of a view of the steering wheel, see the gear that they're in the center, but can't quite tell what fuel maps they're in. But definitely a lot of things that they are adjusting as far as inside of those cars. Definitely playing with the suspension settings, the weight jacker, and the fuel maps that you mentioned, Gael, just to try and see. Sometimes it's obviously better to save as much fuel as you possibly can, but you still have to keep up pace with those around you. As we do see the 89 car diving to the inside of Andrew Wood, trying to take over that second position now.
Yeah, and I think that's the question mark, because unfortunately, I say there's only so much that we get told by through iRacing. I say they don't let us completely spy on the drivers. They don't have the full telemetry like the actual series do. So the only thing we know is, like I said, the gear, kind of the RPMs, and of course if they're on the push to pass or not on the road courses. But other than that, say we're kind of in the dark, unfortunately. So It would be so much fun to see if we could really see the fuel numbers and yeah, that what maps they were, or even like I said the front rear ARBs, weight jackers, all those types of things. But I think selfishly these drivers, they don't want us to know all those things, because at that point then you don't have your secrets, you don't have what kind of the little tips and tricks that you can get away with, and like maybe have something in your under your sleeve that everybody else doesn't have. So yeah, the question mark now is, and this again might be a strategy call, did Andrew maybe do this deliberately to maybe try to drop Nick DeGroot a little bit back off of Luis Gonzalez, where now maybe he has to push too hard and he runs himself out of fuel on that one-stop strategy. So there's a lot of gamesmanship in this, and that may have been Andrew's kind of did the math in his head. It's like, oh no, I may have made a mistake here. So did basically the best thing he could to try to put Nick in a bad spot, but Nick's right around that window. He's 1.4 seconds off of Luis here, who right now, I mean, he's just having a nice little Tuesday afternoon drive basically. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see what the right call is going to be. But right now, saying the drivers that topped off, they're right here together as well. Joseph Morales, Dan Marrera, both sitting together. And actually, as I say that, here comes Luis now on pit road at 55 to go. And that easily answers our question there, Boomer, on the fuel mileage. He's going to have to go one more stop after this one.
Yeah, he'll definitely have to go at least one more. We'll definitely expect Andrew Wood to go one more, but it'll be interesting to see if Nick DeGroot and the others that pitted on lap 46, or some of the ones that topped off on lap 48, will be able to make it the rest of the way with one more stop. So getting close, as you mentioned, under 60 laps to go here now. I believe 53 this time by. We're definitely going to be at a position where going to be looking to see how many more laps they can go. I think it would probably have to be within 35 laps to go in order to make it the rest of the way. Those guys who have already pitted on that last caution. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we're going to see Luis Gonzalez Nunez. I think he's actually going to come out just behind the leaders, so I believe he is one lap down currently in the middle of the pack, but should have enough fresh tires here to be able to maybe to work his way back around Nick DeGroot and earn his lap back the hard way, though he will definitely be at a deficit here with this green flag cycle for him and eventually for Andrew Wood.
You guys were talking about a little bit of fuel mileage, so I was doing the numbers over here, and I was able to go 34 laps, pushing it pretty hard, trying to keep up with them guys. It is possible to go 35 laps, 36 laps, if you run the right map in this car. So out of all the drivers who topped off, was that Craig Forsyth?
Dan Marrera and Joseph Morales were the two that topped off at 48. Nick DeGroot and everybody else pitted at 46. So the two that have the most fuel by a little margin are the 60 and the 26. So that'll be the question mark, yeah, is to see kind of who has the numbers win. The other thing that on the fuel mileage side of things is the one thing that Nick doesn't have anymore is the advantage of the draft to help pull him along here. So say the pace of the race hasn't really dropped too much. I mean, he's running at 27:59 right last time by. His best is a 27:45, so still running pretty fast laps here. So it's going to be interesting, because even if he does a two-stop race now, there's still potential where his final stop should be shorter than Andrew's regardless, and that should give him a little bit of an advantage of track position on that side of things. But it's going to be interesting to see what the strategies are for these guys, because I think the magic number is going to be right around lap number 85, 86. If anybody gets to that point of the race, I think they could make it to the end, maybe even 84 if we want to stretch it, but I think that's the magic number though, Boomers, that 84 to 86 range.
Yeah, definitely will be exciting to see as these laps click off. I believe currently working with 48 to go here on lap 72 for our leader Nick DeGroot, and the rest of the drivers on the lap, as we do see Andrew actually jumping down to pit road this time by, so he will make his second to last pit stop for the night. Definitely not able to stretch it the rest of the way, unfortunately for him, with that split strategy after that last caution. So now we'll see all the drivers pretty much have made their beds as far as strategy goes. there may still be some there could be a caution or two to throw a wrench in the plans, but as of right now, looking like one more stop for the rest of the field.
Yeah, and the next question is going to be, where does Andrew come out in relation to Luis Gonzalez? And the answer is going to be very far behind. Luis is gone. He's already about 2.5 seconds past here. So, and then, actually, Charles Teed on pit road.
Yeah, I was going to mention Charles Teed came down pit road. That's definitely not a planned stop, I would expect, because he had last pitted during the caution. I don't know if there's a little bit of damage there or what.
Yeah, so I can't quite tell. Don't see anything obvious. Let's say, actually, it looks like a car jumped out. So, yeah, maybe some damage. Maybe caught the wall and just went ahead and hit pit road. So, I was going to say that's going to be another thing that's going to watch for those that pitted if they could make it to the end or not. So, yeah, unfortunately, it looks like possibly an early exit for that number 50 as well. But, yeah, so then we go back to, the strategy of the staying out versus pitting. I mean, even if everybody has to pit right now, I mean, Luis has a 3-second margin just about over Andrew. So that's a really good job by that number 15 car, that in and out lap in about the 7-lap difference. So in his case, the undercut really worked his advantage. But right now, like I said, the big question is going to be these next 7 to 8 laps here. If anybody hits pit road after that window, like I said, about that 84 to 86 range, I think that's where, if you're Andrew Wood, you're going to be just hoping and praying for a yellow to kind of maybe save your chance at a good result tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And, really, like we mentioned, him as a leader, under that last caution, he was kind of damned if he did, damned if he didn't. And, knowing that Nick DeGroot was probably going to try the opposite strategy of whatever he tried. And obviously, definitely interesting that Luis Gonzalez Nunez also managed to stay out, but worked out for him as far as he's able to get around Andrew Wood. But if this pace kind of keeps up.
And we're seeing more drivers hitting pit road. Gary Corley, Jeff Hysong, they're both in.
Okay. So they're going to have to pit at least one more time.
So yeah, this is also the difference where maybe they say, you know what, instead of us taking a 4-tire and fuel stop, we're just going to do a splash of fuel for our final stop. So that's also another potential to throw into things as well. That final stop could be a shorter one, but like I said, I do think we're going to see somebody try to run that fuel number. And I mean, right now, we're on lap number 80, so Nick's 4 or 5 laps away here from being on that number. So this is going to get very interesting here very soon.
Speaking of that, Craig's coming in this time.
And that's not something I would have expected to hear, because Craig Forsyth is usually Mr. Fuel Save. So if Craig can't make it to the end, I don't know if anybody's going to have the number. I'm honestly surprised to see Craig pitting before drivers like Nick DeGroot and company. So this is, William Gunn also in. So yeah, this is all going to be really tight here, Boomer. I mean, now it's like the guys that we thought for sure were going to be able to try to one stop it, they haven't. So now we're going to watch this 89 closely. Yep, here he comes, Nick DeGroot. So this all right. So it's not all said and done here.
Yeah, definitely not.
Caution!
Oh no!
I think it was Yari Brupacher. He's going to try to limp that car back to pit road.
Eric also has some damage, it looks like, in the 40.
I'm wondering if that's a pit road entry gone wrong for one of those drivers. Yeah. But yeah, so that's going to bring up in the middle of pit stop strategy. This is going to really change things as well, because it just depends on who catches the pace car where in relation to the field. So we're going to have to see where everybody gets sorted out, because this is going to get interesting. Say, Matt, you might have to kind of go be admin here for a second, but let's go look to see what happens for this yellow. Like I said, I believe it was with it looks like actually it was Yari Brupacher here. We're watching that number 49 here on pit road, and just kind of straddled that white line, and unfortunately at that point the car just snaps around the nose. And then this is where Jim Herrick, I'm sure, where do I go? Do I go left? Do I go right? And unfortunately, it looks like he just didn't quite make the right choice at the right time, and just caught that left front on the 49 machine. So definitely damage to him as well. But I think should be able to limp it back to the pits here. And I think actually he's done so now. So let's jump back live here, because that's going to be Jim on pit road with that damaged car, but going to enter pit road as our leader. But yeah, here's the story though, right there. Nick DeGroot is going to cycle around to the front as he was on pit road
right now.
Yeah, and he's going to cycle to the lead right now because he was on pit road as that yellow flew. So the question is going to be,
Luis Gonzalez Nunez is getting the wave around right now for the lucky dog. This really kills Andrew Wood. As of right now, he would get a free pass, but he would not be able to pit under this caution
Correct.
cycle. So he is definitely going to be the biggest loser. Looks like Craig Forsyth, William Gunn, Jeff Heisong, and Gary Corley in a similar situation as well.
Yeah, and this is interesting. Also, this isn't kind of said and done for these guys that pitted either. So, unfortunately, it looks like Jim Herrick's still on pit road. I don't know if he maybe didn't have a faster pair or not, but I was hoping he was going to be in and out pretty quick in that 40. So I'm a little concerned about that as well. But I mean, we're still going to restart this race just outside of that 35 or so to go window. And these guys, again, they pitted a few laps before that. I don't know if this caution's enough to bring them into the window. So, again, you might see some drivers that were able to pit under that yellow, like Dan Morera and Joseph Morales. I mean, if it goes caution-free to the end, do you just roll back onto pit road here? And actually, here comes Luis. He's going to hit pit road, as we talked about that, after getting his wave around. So, honestly, this could put Luis right back into a good spot here, as I believe we're still on 2 to go. As you see, field hasn't waved around. So, yeah,
I think if everyone stays out here, or at least these guys, I think they're still, because just about everyone still has to pit one more time for the rest of the race. Because really, right now, actually, Luis Gonzalez Nunez might be the one who's in the best position to actually go the rest of the distance, because I don't think anyone else can. Might be interesting to see if some of the guys in the top 5, like Nick DeGroot, Joseph Morales, Dan Morera, and Yari Brubacher, may be able to get it close. They would be going about 39, 38 laps on their final stint, which would be a stretch. But I think Luis Gonzalez Nunez could have the best potential, and I think just about everyone behind them that is a lap down, so Andrew Wood, Craig Forsyth, William Gunn, Jeff Heisong, and Gary Corley should be okay. They'll restart with the wave around at the end of the pack, and should be in a position where everyone needs to pit at least once more. So we'll see if anyone can actually stretch this the rest of the way of the people who have pitted on this caution cycle. It'll be interesting to see. They might actually be maybe a lap ahead of the rest of the guys that do still have to pit one more time.
Yeah.
So I had some insider info. Dan Morera he could have made it the rest of the way, and I was a complete bummer when I saw that caution come out. But it is what it is. I love first-time winners. It would be interesting to see if that caution would have come out, see if he would have made it the rest of the way.
All right, so here's the 3 drivers that are going to hop onto pit road here. And so basically they're pitting right now when we're going to restart with 35 to go on the dot there, Boomer. So that's going to be Joseph Morales, Yari Brubacher, and Dan Morera. Luis Gonzalez Nunez, he pitted the lap prior in that number 15. And he's going to restart right behind Nick DeGroot, who pitted during that caution. So this is very, very intriguing. And then for those, unfortunately, who all had to take the wave around, like Andrew Wood, and then Craig Forsyth, William Gunn, Jeff Heisong, Gary Corley, they all will most likely need a caution because I think the timing of the yellow when they pitted just isn't falling in their favor. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. I mean, I say we basically got a stretched full fuel run to the end here. To see maybe who's going to have a chance at this one. So, yeah, I mean, we really can't kind of point out any single person that says, yeah, all right, they've got this in the bag, they've got the fuel, they've got the pace or whatever it is. Because, I mean, right now, yeah, Nick's in the best position track position-wise, but not on fuel. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. I'm going to look forward to this one as we get back green here.
Underway, the 89 will take the green flag. Like you said, it does look like Luis Gonzalez Nunez, Joseph Morales, and Dan Morera could be the closest on fuel, maybe as well as Yari Brubacher. So it'll be interesting to see. They're going to have the best chance to do it, but there's definitely quite a few people in this field that have to pit at least one more time here, as we are working on lap number 86 with now 35 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, I see Andrew was trying to make some quick work to get some track position as fast as he can. As he's going to try to work around Joseph Morales. And again, I think it's in some of these guys' interest. They don't really want to fight because, again, they got to run to a field number here. As you see, Craig couldn't quite get around Joseph there, but up front though, Nick's still leading by about that half a second. And again, I mean, I think this is probably in Luis's favor right now. I think you just let kind of Nick be that rabbit, and you just kind of stay right behind him, just cruise, use his draft to your advantage, and see if that's going to be the winning move for you or not. So it's going to be fun to see. There's still obviously a lot of racing going on. So you can see a gaggle right here, right around that top 5 to 10 range here. You've got looks like about 6-7 cars here, all within about 2 seconds of one another. So it's still, these guys are all going out to play for this one here.
Yeah, for sure. I think as far as Luis is concerned, he's in probably the best spot, being in second, hitting last on lap 83. So he's only really got to stretch it 2 additional laps, which, knowing that most of the rest of the field still has to pit one more time, I would say you'd just run it, super lean and just go and figure out, and just maybe not go is the wrong word, but just ride, really.
Yeah.
And, if you could finish the race from here, you're going to get at least a podium, maybe a top 5 guaranteed, if you can make it the rest of the way, knowing that there's really only a handful of cars that would be in that position.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I think for Luis, he basically just needs to kind of drop anchor behind Nick here, just basically let Nick lead. I mean, yeah, if Nick's going to try to make it to the end, I mean, that's something that Nick should and probably is trying to do. Just judging by the fact that, say, again, looking at lap times, he's still running pretty fast laps, so I don't think he's backed down too much, as they were running 27.60s last time by their best laps of 27.45, 27.49, so I mean, they're only about a tenth off of what they ran. So this is going to be very intriguing, but yeah, I mean, Luis has got draft to kind of benefit himself off of the back of that 89 car. And then you have to go a little bit further back for those that topped off, like we mentioned with Joseph Morales and Dan Morera. But again, it's only 1 lap difference than Luis, so I don't think that's going to be too much of a deal breaker there. So it's going to be interesting to see. And then it's going to be, I think, for those other positions where you might gain 2-3 spots if you can just maybe take the shortest amount of fuel as possible. On maybe a very late stop here with just maybe 2 to go or something like that. It's kind of having that feel to it.
Yeah, definitely going to be tight for some of these drivers for sure. But yeah, the field is also a little bit tighter too. I mean, we've got a lot of battles within the whole field pretty much within about 6 seconds now. So definitely a little bit more action here later on in the race. You can see all the cars in the shot down the backstretch from our wonderful camera crew here tonight. So definitely exciting to see all these cars in contention, and still a lot can happen. We do have actually Joseph Morales now kind of following that the highest gainer positions so far. Joseph Morales is up 10 spots, where Craig Forsyth is up 5 and Gary Corley is up 5. So if things kind of stay the same, Joseph definitely going to take that bonus point away from some of our other championship contenders, and getting that for the night. So definitely a big deal to earn those spots and to be up 10 even with such a short field.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, for Joseph, I mean, he's been on form lately. I mean, he two races back over at Kentucky, able to get a podium over there as well. So, I mean, he's definitely put himself in these contentions by making the right pit strategies at the right time. And that's the thing, that's what we've talked about is you aren't going to win every race just by outright pacing everybody. You've got to be able to work the strategies and make the right pit calls at the right time, make the right adjustments in the car, the fuel maps and whatnot. And like I said, I mean, for Joseph here, he's backed down where he says, you know what? Yes, I want to hold on to Craig's draft, but I'm not going to run myself out of fuel to do so. And so maybe that might be what we're looking at here as well, where maybe the battle is actually here. Joseph Morales and Dan Morera, they're kind of against, it's that race to the fuel number, if you will, versus the race to just the outright pace that you can have with these cars. So it's very intriguing. And yeah, I still think obviously advantage is still, I think, sitting on that 15 car of Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Just the question is that 89 car just maybe setting the pace just a little bit too high to maybe try to entice Luis to just run himself out of that fuel window as well? Or at the same time, is Nick somehow able to keep this pace up while still making great fuel numbers? And actually, to say that, here comes Andrew Wood on pit road.
Yeah. Yeah, so Craig Forsyth that last time by drove a 27:52, where the leaders are running in the 27:70s, high 27:60s. So definitely a fast lap for him there. I don't know if Craig's pushing just a little bit or not, but he does actually settle back down on this last lap. So it'll be interesting. We do see Andrew Wood and Jim Herrick in the pits. I apologize. Jim Herrick's been in the pits from that damage, but Andrew Wood is now making his way. Yeah, 5.22 seconds. He's going to spend 37.73 seconds on pit lane, which is quite fast.
Yeah, that's a fuel-only stop right there for Andrew Wood. I don't think any tires went on that, so I think he basically decided, you know what, this is the time. And again, I think he kind of saw what happened earlier there as well with Luis, where he pitted early, and it really kind of gave him a big advantage there. And here's a good opportunity for Andrew, though, too, is if he can get around a couple of these cars here quick, he's going to have a lot of clean air back in front of him, because if he can jump around the Dan Marrera right here, jump around Joseph Morales, he's going to have a lot of clean air before you get back to a Craig Forsyth. So, yeah, I think this is definitely in his favor to try to hustle this car as much as he can right now. And actually dropping back a little bit is that 14 of Luis Gonzalez. I say just noticed, say he dropped a fair bit back that through 3 and 4 there. I'll say, well, let's see what the lap times were there. Say Nick DeGroot, yeah, 27.71 to a 27.95. So Luis backed it down 2/10 that lap. Not sure if maybe a mistake on the entry or something, or maybe was looking at his field numbers again. Like I said, maybe Nick starting just running him a little bit harder than he's ready for, and that might be kind of running him out of that fuel number he needs.
Yeah, we'll definitely, again, have to wait and see on a lot of it, but it's definitely easy to overdrive these corners for sure, as we've already mentioned, but Andrew Wood's going to try and do what he can to get back towards the lead of this pack, getting some clean air, and maybe even try and do what he can to actually unlap himself naturally, but still a little bit of work to go. And I mean, obviously it's really going to come down just to the wire to see who does have enough for the end here. I would think that people like Jeff Hysong and Gary Corley pitting last on lap 78 and 77 absolutely have to pit one more time. Craig Forsyth last pitting on lap 80, so that'd be 40 laps. That would be 5 more laps
probably too much,
than the fuel run. Yeah, probably too much there even. So we'll see. I mean, we really just have to wait and see. Is it one of those things where you've made your bed and you just run it out as long as you can, and then you come in, or and just pick up a splash of fuel, or would you prefer to come in now, knowing that you're probably not going to make it to the end?
Yeah, and that's the question, really. And actually, here's the answer for William Gunn. He's going to come in right now. Oh, locked him up a little bit. Hopefully got down to speed and time. So it'll be fun to see how quick of a stop he has as well. But I'm definitely one of those drivers that tries to run the fuel number. But yeah, I think if I just absolutely know there's no way I can make it, I kind of think I would want to do what Andrew Wood did in short pit and just go, especially if I know I have the pace. The concern, of course, is a caution that just comes out at the wrong time and just kind of shoots you in the foot. So it's really a big double-edged sword there. So I can't give you a solid answer. But the one thing I was going to mention, though, is I'm watching Dan Marrera. He is definitely not fighting anybody that comes close to him. As soon as they get to nearby him, he's letting them go. I think he is definitely fully committed to making this thing to the end no matter what. So I saw him a little earlier. He just let Jeff Hysong go on by, and I'm starting to see the same from Joseph Morales. I think he's starting to roll his pace down a little bit as well in that 60s. So I say we're down to 15 to go, so we're getting to that point where, like you said, I mean, probably in the next 10 laps, we'll probably know realistically for how long some of these guys can go. William Gunn, he looks like he did take 4 tires and fuel in the 14, so he's going to stick with his strategy. And here comes, Jeff Hysong.
Man, that's going to take him out of contention, unfortunately.
But he's able to hang on to the car, though. I mean, that was a great save, though.
Very impressive.
I'd say we'll go back. Oops. Yeah, let's go back here. We'll take one more look at this. I know Jeff doesn't want me to do this, but the save, I say, obviously a bit of a mistake. Again, it's just he straddled that line we talked about the apron and the banking, but somehow to be able to hang onto this car like he does, that was very, very impressive to do, and then to still be able to make that left and cut it back onto pit road. So, definitely a unfortunate break for Jeff, but to be able to hang on to that car, it was a very, very impressive job by that 18. So there's one of our drivers you mentioned, though. You knew for sure he was going to have to come in, Gary Corley probably not too far away either, last pitting at 77. I would expect we'll see the 7 in here pretty shortly as well. But yeah, it's the question mark is going to be these top 2 though. Again, the caution coming out when Nick DeGroot was on pit road, and then of course Luis Gonzalez getting the wave around and then pitting, but not topping off like we saw the 60 and the 26 do.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see for sure. I think Joseph Morales in 4th place, now up 11 spots, still our biggest mover. He is definitely got probably the best shot, as we've already mentioned, assuming that either Nick DeGroot or Luis Gonzalez Nunez can't make their fuel last the rest of the way. But it'll be interesting. I know we keep mentioning that. Just have to kind of wait it out and see what's going to happen here. But if everyone ahead of him has to pit, Joseph Morales, Dan Marrera, and Jari Brubacher could be your top 3 as the guys that have pitted the latest. As we do see, big. Oh, is that Craig?
It's Craig Forsyth, right front damage. But I mean, it's if he got
fast repair,
so we'll go back and say let's watch this pit entry as well here for Craig. Oh, actually no, this happened earlier.
Oh wow, so he's up in the wall already.
Let's back it down. Let's back it up a little bit. Take another look and say it looks like that car just, I think maybe got into the dirty air there possibly of Luis Gonzalez, and just wow, that thing just didn't turn. So yeah, into the wall, went straight to the pits, already down and away. It'll be fun to see where he comes out in relation to Andrew Wood, as again those two are still up there. Actually, there's our answer. There goes Andrew. But yeah, so this is all starting to ebb and flow here pretty quickly. As you see again, Dan Marrera again just not fighting anybody. Lets Jari go right on by. However, he's got to be careful. Jari pitted on 84 as well, so he's got to make sure that maybe Jari isn't pushing where he's in the number to make it. Gary Corley, need to mention, he's on pit road as well, already down and away. But so yeah, so this is very spread out though. So you mentioned as well. I mean, if Nick cannot make it, Luis has about 7 seconds, actually almost 8 seconds. It looks like to play with between himself and Joseph Morales. So he can really back down his pace to be able to make it to the end. And what I'm looking at right now though here, Boomer, I'm looking at lap times. Nick has slowed his laps down now by half a second. So 27.97. His best of 27.45. Luis even slower, 28.12 last time by. These guys, I think it's starting to kind of hit them that's like, you know what, we need to back this down further if we're going to try to make this. And I think some of these guys have really started to back that number down.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got that much of a lead, you do have quite a bit of an opportunity to really ease off the gas, roll in and out of it, roll out of it early and roll in it late. Then use that gap to your advantage. Go as possible. Use as less fuel as possible with the lower maps, and we'll have to see. Joseph Morales, I think, is kind of excited here. Though it does look like he's actually slowing down quite a bit too, as well as Jari Brubacher. Although Jari now around him as well, even though these guys are probably all trying to save. Andrew Wood, the first car, not trying to save at all. He was about 0.2 of a second faster than our leader that last lap. We'll see. Could potentially be a little bit too little too late, unfortunately, if the rest of the top 5 or the top 5, I should say, is able to save their fuel and make it to the end. But definitely a valiant effort for Andrew. I mean, really just driving it as hard as he can to try and make something happen. But if nothing else happens, if anyone else ahead of him in the top 5 does not run out of fuel, he will be finishing 6th for the night. Yeah,
and that's going to be the question is, I feel like with the pace that Nick had been backing it down, to me that means he's going to the end. He's going to stretch this no matter what, because if you knew you had to pit, you wouldn't be backing down your pace. You would be just running as hard as you can to make that shortest pit stop you need to. So I think based on what I'm seeing here out of Nick, I think he's decided, you know what, I'm gonna go for this no matter what. And it might be hey, even if I sputter again, if I can coast, I've got 10 seconds to play with for still a top 2, top 3. So yeah, this is very intriguing, and saying this is that balance of pace versus fuel mileage. So we're gonna hop on board here because we're down to 2 to go here. We're gonna listen to this number 89 car to see if we hear any sort of sputtering, or we're just listening to see even if he maybe starts to clutch it or just anything out of the ordinary.
Something interesting to notice, Dan Morera is now backing it down. He was running a 28.8 that last lap, where Andrew Wood is a 27.7. So I don't think enough time, but if Dan Morera does run out of fuel, Andrew Wood may be able to sneak back into the top 5, as we're listening now again to Nick DeGroot on the white flag.
Oh, he's clutching it. He's clutching. He might he's out or he's just on the outer edge. And here comes Luis Gonzalez. He might be out of field. Yep. There goes Luis Gonzalez. He's going to grab the lead here. Coming through turn number 2. Luis is now backing it down. I think that might just be to enter the turn, though, as here comes the 64. This is important, too, for the 64. If he could unlap himself, he's not going to be able to, though. Luis Gonzalez is going to... Oh, wait. Oh, no, it's after the line. I'm sorry. Luis Gonzalez is going to get the win here tonight. Yari Brupacher going to bring it home in second. And then it looks like it's going to be... Oh, it may not be. We'll see. There goes the 60 of Joseph Morales. Where's Dan Morera? I think Joseph just got him there.
Go back to Nick. Go back to Nick. Yeah,
he's still coasting.
So anyone who does finish on the lead lap here, including Nick DeGroot, is going to finish ahead of Andrew Wood. So that was unfortunate, although no one truly ran all the way out of gas. Definitely with Andrew not beating Luis to the line, was going to keep himself one lap down for the race. But exciting for sure for Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Definitely played the fuel mileage strategy and won. Definitely looked like he was going to be out of it at certain times when he followed Andrew Wood out of the pits after our first shakeup in strategy, but able to get a couple breaks as far as a lucky dog. Back on the lead lap, started third position, I think, on the final restart, and we're going to see him burn it down here. I believe his first win in Area 51.
I believe so, yeah. As he's just to rub salt in the wound on some of those other drivers. He's got fuel for burnouts too. And some of those saying that's where Nick DeGroot's like, man, I wish I had that little bit of extra fuel to do anything like that. But man, what a win though for Luis there. We talked about it, that he got the lucky dog there. He played that strategy where he knew he was going to have to pit, but it still wound up just working out perfectly for that 15 car. That's that's a wild one. And then think about it too. Yari Brupacher, we talked about the beginning of the show, all his bad luck week in and week out. Just wanted something to turn his way. Finally able to get. It was kind of a bad luck turning into a good luck for Yari. Made a mistake unfortunately on pit entry, but it actually wound up working out for him and able to recover into a top 2. And then once again, Joseph Morales, second time in 3 weeks here, getting a podium finish as well in that 60. So just a great job by these guys tonight, as we got to pull up our final results before we get to those interviews. As you can see, Luis Gonzalez Nunez getting the win by almost 7 seconds. Again, just how crazy it was there at the end. Yari Brupacher, Joseph Morales there. And then you mentioned Dan Morera, Nick DeGroot. Nick just able to coast that thing to the finish line to be able to stay on that lead lap. And then all importantly, Andrew Wood not able to get around Luis to unlap himself to have a chance to maybe try to get Nick for position there. So this points battle going into next week is going to be tight, to say the least, between those two. You see Craig Forsyth, William Gunn, Jeff Heisong, Gary Corley, our top 10, all finishing one down. And then, unfortunately, the connection or whatever hiccups Jim Herrick had finishes 8 laps down in 11th. And then short nights for Charles Teed, Eric Peterson. I was mixing up Eric Peterson and Jim Herrick. Short nights for Jim Herrick, Charles Teed, and then unfortunately the early issues for Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks, and then Alec Coates and Don Hunter not taking part tonight, finishing 16th and 17th. All right. So now let's go find some coasting cars here, Boomer. We can pull these guys on in and have a chat with them, because we're going to kick it off with our third place finisher here. That is going to be the number 60 of Joseph Morales. And it was Joseph. We talked about the fuel mileage so much tonight. There was a couple times it looked like it could play into the hands of doing some fuel saving a fuel stop. And so I guess the first question would be, obviously, of course, first off, you're able to make it to the end, just barely holding off Dan Morera, who was charging at the very, very end there as you were sputtering out of 4. But there was an earlier point in the race where it looked like maybe if you saved, you could go to a one-stopper to make it to the end. Were you looking at that strategy as well, to try to one-stop it to the end prior to the caution? Just take us through kind of the strategy throughout tonight's race, because I mean it was definitely all over the place.
Yeah, we got behind a little bit early and just settled in. Then we had our first caution. Everybody got caught back up, and they actually from there it was actually a fuel race for me. I was looking at about 35 all the time, and that's what I was shooting for. And luckily for me, it just happened that way. And then with the last uh, caution, I decided to go in. I was in fourth. I decided to go in, top off, and that's what she did for me.
Yeah, that definitely could have saved you towards the end, for sure. Definitely a bit of a weird strategy with fuel tonight, but definitely exciting to watch for sure. And you were our biggest mover of the race, up 12 positions from your 15th starting spot. How good does it feel to climb that high to achieve a podium tonight?
It feels real good, to be honest with you. I don't get to race up front with the guys that much. They're so good. But in all honesty, tonight was all about luck. And rolled the dice and it just came up my number. And we're really lucky tonight. But it was a good race all the way around. The car was a good setup. Everybody was plenty of room, and it was fun out there.
Saying, and I mean, obviously, I mean, you gotta. Was something we were talking about during the race. I mean, there's times where you can't win these races every week on outright just pace. I mean, you've got to have some fuel strategies and pit strategies to make the right call at the right time. And I mean, you nailed that tonight. And it was a few weeks ago. I mean, this is now your second podium in 3 weeks here, with the one in Kentucky just 2 weeks back as well. So, I mean, it seems like I'd say, I mean, you've been nailing the strategy side of things. I'd say that was another one where I want to say you were running good fuel mileage, but still keeping a lot of pace in that car. And then, of course, when you had that final sprint to the finish there, and everybody's kind of just going for all that they were worth there, you're able to hold on to that top three finish there as well. So, so you've had to do a little bit of all of it these last couple of weeks. But I mean, getting 2 podiums in 3 weeks, that's a pretty solid result for these kind of closing stages of the season.
I appreciate it. Like I said, the guys in this league, they're top tier, and anytime we're inside the top 10, top 5, we're happy. We're happy. We really are.
Yeah, it was an awesome job tonight, Joseph. Like I said, you made all the right calls and made all the right decisions there to have the opportunity to get that podium, able to do so. Definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that podium tonight.
Thanks to all the other guys in the league and on the race tonight. Like I said, everything was pretty clean where we were at all night. And I want to give a big shout out to you guys. You do a great job in the booth and the admins with the league. It's a fun time. I know we got one more race, and I'm already looking forward for next season.
All right, man. Well, enjoy this one tonight. I know you'll have a long flight to get back to the U.S. So luckily for us, a lot of us will just be leaving the office and going somewhere else. But yeah, awesome job though tonight, Joseph. Yeah, enjoy this one, and looking forward to seeing you next week at the season finale.
Appreciate it, guys. You're the best.
All right, that is our third place finisher there in that number 60 of Joseph Morales. So we'll jump over to our second place finisher, our runner-up driver, which will be the number 49 of Jari Brupacher. And I mean, this is something we talked about, Boomer. He just was waiting and waiting for something to have some luck for once to go his way. And it may have not been the way you were looking for, Jari, because I would say it was, we kind of mentioned there at the very end, it was kind of a bad luck or kind of like a bad luck mistake situation turning into good luck for you. I mean, and that's just part of racing. Sometimes you got to make the best of a bad situation, and unfortunately, obviously, the slight miscue on pit road on the entry that brought out the yellow. But then you're able to kind of capitalize, made the right pits decision, and then nailed the fuel strategy, and were able to bring it home in that runner-up spot. I mean, so I'm guessing it was probably a pretty wide range of emotions through tonight's race.
Yeah, I just started to brake too early coming into the pits, and then I thought I was going to lose too much time, and I tried to hit the throttle a little bit again, and then it went, and I'm sorry for, I think it was Jim Herrick whom I hit, but yeah, in the end it turned out to be probably a blessing that I spun there, because that allowed me to top up again and save fuel at the back of the field with a huge draft in front of me.
Yeah, we definitely mentioned it towards the beginning of the broadcast that tonight could be a night where some of the guys, maybe not in the direct championship hunt, would have a chance to get up there and do something. We mentioned that sorry to bring light to it, but you've had what has been fair bit of struggles this season. Even if not a win, how good does it feel to get a top 2 finish and a podium finish tonight, and maybe try to start to turn your season around as we get into the third season of the 2022 year.
Yeah, that season was horrible so far. I usually finish the seasons off well, and then I started the new season quite badly. Now I'm doing well again at the end of the season, so I'm starting to feel a little bit worried. But it's just it's good to be on the podium. I think it's my second runner-up finish at this track here in this series. I can't seem to win here, but it's good to be second, and it's nice to see that. Well, I can't say everything goes right because I brought out the yellow ones, but that I am still able to get a second place finish, even though obviously Nick running out there at the end was a little bit lucky to hand me second place.
Yeah, I mean that's just part of it. Sometimes, I mean, it takes a little bit of everything from time to time. So, yeah, so we'll have to figure something out with you on the off season yard to get you to kick off the season strong. That way, you can kind of keep finishing the season strong. Because I say when things go your way, I mean, we see you week in week out. You're right there with Nick and Andrew and Craig and all those guys. So, you just haven't had the luck yet. But I think it's just a matter of time to kind of get that full season, and it'll be fun to see you gunning after these guys for a championship as well. So. I say we got one more to go, like you said, next week at Phoenix. But definitely before we let you go here, though, Yari, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that runner-up tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody watching. And once again, sorry to Jim for hitting him there when I made that mistake coming to the pits. See you next week.
All right, that is our runner-up, Yari Brubacher. That leaves us one left to chat with tonight, and that is going to be our race winner in that number 15 of Luis Gonzalez. And I mean, we talked about it. Remember the timing of the caution, him getting the wave round, being able to pit during the yellow, maybe being able to run the fuel number. It was going to be close. We weren't sure if Nick was kind of trying to run him maybe too hard to run himself even out of fuel. But I mean, it looked like at 2 to go, it looked like it was going to be maybe Nick kind of snagging one again on the fuel mileage. But then, I mean, you see him slow drastically out of turn number 2 and you go blowing on by. I mean, is that one of those ones where you can't believe your luck? Or did you feel like that was probably going to happen with him leading so much and that final stints there? I mean, just take us through kind of what you were going through on that final run.
Was tough. Really, I didn't believe to get the lucky dog. I almost scratched with Nick in the yellow flag in the last caution. I got the lucky dog. I came in. I took my cell phone. I started to make calculation faster, like maybe this. I say, okay, so should be. Let's start to map 3. I wait to map 3 all the race. On the end of the steam, and last 20 laps, I said no, maybe 5. But because I saw Craig crash on the McMe, but I saw in my statistics, so I saw Craig and Nate DeGroy have 2 laps more than me. So I said, okay, I need to save it. But was crazy. I saw in my relative, I need to 1 liter, 2 liters. No. You're gonna get 5 points. Sorry, I don't know. This is a very variation in the moment. So, but I got it. So I'm really happy. Super happy.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of mentioned already the lucky dog, but you've been up and down pretty much all night. I mean, you were, you're at a position where you and Andrew Wood took a split decision on strategy to stay out. I believe on our second caution of the night, and if not our first. And then you mentioned getting the lucky dog and restarting third. What ended up being that final restart. I mean, you really had a bit of an up and down night as far as strategy went, but it finally paid off. And how does it feel to win after so much adversity throughout the night?
I think so. It's an entire year. Let me tell you, it's an entire year. It doesn't matter if it's here or in another leagues or the another leagues or maybe the official. To win something is really feel comfortable. Feel like finally I got the touch. So I make the right decision to stay out with Andrew. When Andrew leave me the position without battle, I said, "Oh my God!" Again, I think, and he started to be back. I said, "No, why? So why you need to?" I don't know. It's like I feel like, oh my God, again. Let's go. I maybe gonna be on 6, 7, or 8 position today. But the yellow flag is saved me. I don't know what happened with the Niedergrot, so maybe it's coming in. I saw it spinning. I saw a little smoke, and I said, okay, this is mine. So I almost crashed for him, but I got the spot. So I really happy. I really happy to win here. And finally, the strategy is works. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, not just strategy necessarily, because I mean you still had speed from the get go, and we're really gonna look to be a podium place car for most of the night until the strategy kind of split and even qualified second. So definitely, I believe this is your first win, if I'm not mistaken, here in the Dark Horse Area 51 IndyCar League. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a first win. Sorry, I wanna say something. You said about to stay out. In my experience, maybe in Andrew too, because he's in the first position. To be second or third is just only you need to 1 or 2 laps to pass the front of guy. After the third or fourth lap is super difficult. Or you have a two option, or try to check the mistake on the guy on the front, or maybe Grekin, or maybe do the dive bomb. Is many alternative to the points. So really, when I stay out, I saw Niedergrot stay out 1 second, 1 second and a half. I said no. It's because doesn't matter. Actually, the percent. If you do the one stint, complete stint, is like a 2%. The tires is really not too much. It's just only how to brake and how to make the turn in, especially in turn 3 or 4. But it's the first one. Yes, what I said, it's the first one, and I hope it's gonna be more and more and more.
Yeah, definitely would not be surprised because I mean you've shown the pace so much, especially lately. You've come on so strong at the end. It's, yeah, it was really a really impressive run, like I said. And you're exactly right. We were thinking the same thing. There's times where we see like Nick or Andrew kind of back off, and it almost seems like they didn't fight. And like, what are they thinking? What's their strategy? And so yeah, we're kind of in the same boat as you with what that happens. You never know what's the right call, but. I mean, you had it all tonight. Like I said, you had to work your way back. You had to fight hard through traffic when you had to make those early pit stops. But like I said, you're able to get the win tonight, and I do agree. I think this will be the first of many for sure, though, here with Area 51. And so I know you've definitely got some family and friends watching and supporting you as well. So definitely want to give you the floor for give them all the thanks and shout outs. Anybody that supports you, sponsors, all that. So the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so I have a sponsor in my car. I have the main Darren, my main sponsor, 24/7, Sim Racing 24/7, my car, and also ESTV and HyperX, and yeah, that's it. So that's the thing. I'm gonna say thank you all of you guys for amazing league, for Matt to make this amazing league. Next week is the last one, so I hope next season is gonna be more and more people and more competitive. I'm gonna say thank you to my 2 fans I have in my country. I'm gonna say in Spanish, maybe it's because she doesn't or he doesn't speak in Spanish. Sorry, English. So lo he ganado, por fin gané la carrera, así que esta victoria es para ustedes dos, papá, mamá. La próxima semana una más, así que vamos por todo y a darle con todo. I say thank you for all you for support me, and let's see next week in Phoenix, and to be the last one. I hope I can be over there. I hope, because I have a week. This week I'm gonna be on the morning shift, so next week I hope it's gonna be a morning shift too to be here. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for everything, and let's see you next week in Phoenix.
All right, go enjoy this one, Luis. Yeah, great job tonight, man. Like I said, just all around awesome performance. Like you said, strategy was perfect, and then when you had to push hard, you did, and then you're able to get the win. So yeah, go enjoy this one, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll see you next week for the season finale. Otherwise, we'll definitely look forward to seeing you coming on strong next season. So go enjoy this one, sir.
Thank you so much, and see you next week, I hope.
All right, Boomer, that is our race winner. Say Matt said he loves first-time winners, and he's gonna get one tonight. So I'll say maybe help him out a little bit as well. But man, just I'll say it was a very difficult race for these guys. I mean, it was obviously a very difficult race to be able to pass and make passes. Arrow was a lot more actually difficult and more important, I should say, than I expected. I really thought these guys would just be able to kind of blow by one another and kind of do that leapfrog type approach, but anything but tonight. So definitely a big difference in what I was expecting to see. But then, I mean, at least 2 or 3 times it seemed like it was all about fuel mileage tonight, whereas just the question is going to be, it wasn't if, it was when the fuel mileage was going to come into play. And that's exactly what we saw with, Nick DeGroot, probably feels like he could have locked up the championship if he could have had just that half a lot more fuel. But I mean, for the spectator side of things, broadcaster side, man, next week is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely had a lot of fun calling this one tonight, and you'd love to see a first-time race winner and Luis getting that done tonight. So I was definitely excited for him. Glad to see that. I mean, he, like I said, wanted to highlight that he did still qualify second, and he was in the podium placings just about all race. Obviously, a little bit of split strategy there, kind of put him towards the back at certain spots, but able to get the lucky breaks that he needed, and was able to get the job done to save enough towards the end. And he earned this one absolutely for sure tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. It was a little bit of everything, and he had to do a little bit of everything. Had the speed, then had the strategy, and then had the brakes when it came that way as well. So definitely, again, hats off to him. And we're gonna have to say if he keeps this up, I'm gonna have to start buffing up on my Spanish so we can talk to his family as well. So, really, Boomer, want to thank you for hopping over here with me again tonight. It's always fun to do these with you, and of course, everybody that watches and supports us here on Green White Checker TV. Thank you so much for watching, supporting us. Like I said, it's getting to the end of the season. I say we've got 2 more races to go on Thursday and Sunday, and then starting on Monday will be our season finales for all 4 series, and then there'll probably be a little bit of a break before we kick off probably the last stint of 2022. So it's amazing that we're already that far into the year. But yeah, definitely want to thank you all for watching, supporting. Definitely means a ton to us. So we will be back on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Super Speedway Truck Series. I believe they will be at Talladega they'll be back at Daytona Super Speedway, International Speedway, one of those tracks, with the trucks for the second to last race over there in the playoffs. I say Boomer and Maxwell calling the shots over there. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, to finish off the week on Sunday for the Super Speedway Xfinity Series at Daytona before we kick off our finale week starting on Monday. So, Boomer, again, thank you so much, sir. Everybody watching, thank you all so much for watching, for supporting us. And we will see you all on Thursday. Till then, take care, everyone.